It is time. So we would like to begin the FY2019 third quarter consolidated business result announcement for ZOZO Inc. Please refrain from taking any photographs or video during the session. And please refrain from utilizing without permission any recordings. Let us now introduce the attendees. Representative Director, President, and CEO, Kotaro Sawada. Thank you for coming today. Director, Executive Vice President, and CFO, Koji Yanagisawa. Director, COO, Masahiro Ito. Executive Officer, Fuminori Hirose. Director of the Business Administration Division, Yusaku Kobayashi. We have 5 presenters today. We plan to finish at 6 p.m. today. The CFO Yanagisawa will take us through the brief consolidated business results. Good evening, everyone. I would like to jump right in and take you through the FY2019 third quarter results from myself. I would like to start with a technical issue. With respect to the GMV, I would like to introduce changes in the way the GMV will now be shown. Until the second quarter, except for ZOZO Arigato, with respect to the discount initiatives that we undertook at our cost and expense, we subtracted the discounted amount from the retail price before counting that towards the GMV. However, from the third quarter, the retail price, the discounts offered at our cost and expense, such as personalized discounts, with respect to these discounts, we are not accruing the retail price before discount is accrued. And we just actually standardize the way the GMV is defined, because when we first created our plans, we had not accounted for the impact this may have, and it has proved to be misleading to our investors. So from the third quarter, we have made changes so that the retail price before discount is accrued to the GMV. And we've also recalculated the GMV for the last 4 quarters to also reflect this change. We did not make any changes to net sales, however, so it is still equivalent to the amount after discount. And now I would like to take you through the third quarter results. First of all, I need to apologize to everyone here with regards to 2 points. One is that until now, I used to explain that the tax hike did not really impact our performance, but in the third quarter, we saw an impact from the tax hike, and also seasonality or climate. We didn't really see any impact from the climate before, but we have started to see an impact from climate. So those 2 factors have proved to be the biggest problems that we face in the third quarter, and we hope to do better going forward. But keeping that in mind, I would like to take you through the highlights for the third quarter. Can we not forward the documentation? Yes, it's working. The GMV landed at 253.8 billion, up 7.8% year-on-year. The OP was down 6% year-on-year and landed at 19.3 billion. The OP margin was 7.6%, down by 1.2 points year-on-year. We didn't disclose the quarterly target, but both the GMV and OP fell short of the target this quarter. This can be attributed to the fact that both the growth rates of the GMV and OP slowed down in the third quarter, and they fell quite short. And I will go into the reasons in detail later. Now moving on to a closer look at the quarter. The GMV was 94.2 billion, down 0.3% year on year. The OP was down 42%, landing at 6.1 billion. And the OP margin was 6.5%, down 4.8 points year on year. Factors that contributed to a slower GMV growth, as I already mentioned, was the tax hike that we saw, and also the warm winter we have been experiencing. So this has slowed down the market overall. And with this bad market conditions in mind, we also intentionally rein in promotional initiatives as well to focus on improving efficiency. Because if it's not selling well, it doesn't really make sense to continue to do promotions. So we did curtail our promotional initiatives. We talked about the weather, but the climate, but it also impacted OP. Because of the shortfall in the GMV, of course, that contributed to our shortfall in the overall results, but we organized a PGA Tour ZOZO Championship in October last year, and for 2 days, we couldn't let any spectators in, so we didn't see any ticket revenues for those 2 days. So we had to bear more costs than we initially estimated, so that's also impacting the results as well. Those are the major factors that impacted the third quarter results. So warm winter and also the tax hike. And I already covered most of this, but I would like to talk about the increase-decrease analysis of the operating profit. It's on page 10 of the documents that you have. The OP decreased by 1.25 billion from 20.63 to 19.38. So factors that contributed to the increase in OP were the increase in sales from consignment shop commissions, which contributed to 2 billion, and increase in gross profits from the advertising business, which kicked into full gear in the third quarter last fiscal year, which contributed to 1 billion, and decrease of other expenses by 0.08 billion. Factors that negatively impacted the OPR: decrease in gross profits, which amounted to 0.2 billion, increase in fixed costs due to the increase in the number of logistics centers and employees, which amounted to 1.4 billion, and variable costs that fluctuate in direct proportion to sales, which amounted to 2.6 billion, and increasing promotional expenses for the PGA Tour, ZOZO PGA Tour, which amounted to 0.1 billion. On page 11, please take a look at the balance sheet later. There has not been any major changes to the balance sheet. Moving on to the quarterly changes in the GMV. This I already covered. But starting this quarter, in December of the third quarter, The ZOZOTOWN shop has opened on the PayPay Mall, and Sawada will cover this in detail later. But we have started to offer a breakdown of the GMV. So if you look at number 4, you will see the contribution to the GMV by PayPay Mall. Now, if you will turn to page 20, the SG&A. The quarterly changes in SG&A. The third quarter was 25.3 billion. Against the GMV, the promotional cost came out to be 5.2%. So in the third quarter, we've already mentioned from a long time ago that the promotional cost will be higher. But as I mentioned before, the ZOZO Championship costs were estimated, but it was larger than we expected. And also sponsorship fees for the Basquiat exhibition is also included here. Having said that, the increase in SG&A in the third quarter is in line with our initial estimation, and we knew that the OP would come down this quarter. Having said that, the GMV slowed down, and that is why we're far short of the target than we expected. Now turning to page 18. This is the breakdown of the year-to-date SG&A for FY2019. The SG&A against the GMV came out to be 25.4%, down 0.3% year-on-year. Reason why the cumulative SG&A has come down are the bonus payout now has normalized this year, bringing down the payroll by 0.1%. And we stopped distributing ZOZO suits, which brought shipping down by 0.1%. And we also distributed large quantity of ZOZO suits, so the advertising cost and we stopped doing that, so the advertising cost came down by 0.6%. Reasons why the SG&A increased are increasing logistical costs due to the fall in retail prices, which increased by 0.3%, and we also saw an increase in cost for the point rewards by 0.5%. And lastly, we saw a 0.3% increase due to rent from the increase in logistical centers. Now moving on to the KPIs. If you turn to page 22, these KPIs do not include the performance on PayPay Mall, so this is just for ZOZOTOWN. Annual number of buyers decreased by 70,000 from the previous quarter, landing at 8.15 million. The number of active members increased by 50,000, and the number of guest buyers decreased by 120,000. This is already I covered, but in the third quarter, we hardly did any promotions. So the growth in the number of buyers slowed down. Next, page 23, the number of shops on ZOZOTOWN. As of the end of third quarter, the number of shops was 1,345 shops. So this is an increase of 33 shops from the previous quarter. The cumulative number of shops added as of the third quarter was 169 shops, so the number of shops have increased ahead of schedule. In the third quarter, we welcomed Eastboy, Hunter, and Moleskine. So those brands joined. So a total of 53 shops joined. So we have been successful in inviting more shops to the platform. Now moving on to page 28, the average retail price. The average retail price was 4,501 yen, down by 5.6% year-on-year. This kind of product sold well, however, due to a warm winter, the sales of full-price products did not grow as estimated. Therefore, the average retail price is lower as well. And we launched like time sales and ZOZO Week in November, and we did have active sales events, which actually increased the percentage of products sold at a discount as well. Next, the average order value on page 29. So the average order value was 8,973 yen, down by 6.3 yen year on year. 6.3% year on year. And this is mainly due to the fall in the average retail price. So the warm winter contributed to more products being sold at a discount, driving the average retail price down, and as a result, driving the average order value down as well. And lastly, about the forecast, as you probably can tell, it will be very difficult to reach our targets. But in the third quarter, Sawada will mention in detail, but the PayPay Mall is doing very, very well. So we will continue to do our best to catch up. That is all from myself. Next, the President Sawada will take the floor. Good evening. Thank you very much for taking the time to be here today. As Yanagasawa just explained, the market environment and the performance was very difficult. So that having said that, we were able to plant some seeds, and we have started to see some of these seeds bear fruit. So I would like to take you through some of those initiatives. We believe 2020, it has just kicked off. As you can see, 2020, it looks similar to something, doesn't it not? It looks similar to ZOZO, the letter ZOZO. So 2020, we would like to position that as a ZOZO year. And we have a new top management team as well. So we just had a very good start, and we're very motivated. So you understand that we're passionate, and you're wondering what we're going to be doing. But since we have a new management team, we will be focusing on, what will be important, we would like to share that with you today. First of all, we would like to focus on more fashion. So that's is going to be key to our strategy. You might think that that's normal. You expect that of us, but there's a deeper meaning to this. Our forte, strength, when we thought about this, is we arrived at the conclusion that it's more fashion. If you look across the world, we have the most expertise, and we love fashion. We have a lot of know-how. Our employees have a lot of know-how about fashion. So that should be our strength, our core strength. So 2020 onwards, we will focus on doing more fashion. And there's another area we will focus on, fashion tech. You might be like, so okay, but this is also has a deep meaning as well. In terms of fashion, we have a lot of data, and we have accumulated a lot of data over the years. And we have experts, staff internally that can actually look at the data and utilize the data. So we have a team of experts on data, fashion data, which will enable us to release more fashion technology. So more fashion tech, utilizing those strengths, we would like to invigorate the fashion industry. So 2020, the ZOZO year, this is what we will focus on. And for the midterm as well, we will continue to focus on these two key pillars, fashion, tech, and more fashion. And what we will be doing is, within the ZOZO year, we have identified 3 things that we need to do in order to achieve what we just mentioned. So as you can see here, first one is to clarify the target. Second one is to enhance our category offering. And the third is enhance our B2B offering. So we will focus on these 3 areas is our current objective. This might not be clear just reading these 3 areas. So this includes PayPay Mall and ZOZO China, so I would like to explain that more in detail. First of all, clarifying the target. To talk about this, we need to talk about the PayPay Mall. PayPay Mall, the ZOZO Shop on PayPay Mall is the first initiative and very high priority initiative with the Z Holdings. So we made sure that we could quickly launch our shop. And due to those efforts, December 17th, we were able to open the ZOZOTOWN shop on PayPay Mall. I mean, you might be wondering how it's performing. GMV is actually growing very steadily. And since we joined right afterwards, our daily sales surpassed 100 million. So we've seen very good performance. On the left, the graph on the left, this is within the PayPay Mall fashion category, and it will show you that ZOZOTOWN is actually number 1. So this is actually sales in comparison to other merchants, but you can see that ZOZOTOWN is far surpasses the other competitors. So the future is bright, and we see there is a lot of area for improvement, and this is a little bit embarrassing. But we only launch with a bare minimum of functionality, so the UI and UX to try to search for fashion, it's not perfect. It's hard to look for clothing, and so people drop off because it's not very user-friendly. So on PayPay Mall, we haven't been able to reflect all of the UI UX expertise that we cultivated to date. So UI UX is only 30-40% complete. So we will work together with Z Holdings to make improvements in terms of UI and UX. And another point is that brands can actually enter both PayPay Mall and Yahoo Shopping as well. Just by a click of a button, it's very easy. So some brands have elected to be on Yahoo Shopping, and of course they have to agree to want to be on the Yahoo Shopping as well. But if we can offer more and more brands on Yahoo Shopping as well, we think that PayPay Mall will do even better. And more recently, we had a New Year's sale. And at that time, the New Year's sales began. We were number 1, not just in fashion, but PayPay Mall overall. So GMV is doing well. So there may be some things that you might be interested in knowing. If we're starting with the graph pie chart on the left, how many of our brands on ZOZOTOWN are also available on PayPay Mall? So if you look at the pie chart on the left, you can see that On the right, you can see that 90% of shops are participating on ZOZOTOWN on PayPay Mall. So we are trying to make this 100% at the moment. So it is very great for us. We are very appreciative, and we are working very closely with the brands, and we need their cooperation. And we understand from these efforts as well that trust is very important. Trust for the brands to trust us as well. So we need to work together even more closely with the fashion brands. And another point that you may be interested in knowing is about cannibalization. So as you can see, of the people who are shopping on ZOZOTOWN shop on the PayPay Mall, 60% are completely new customers. So this is very important strategically to us. So of course, we're worried about cannibalization as well, but seeing these results, we can see that we feel that there is high potential here.
我々ですね、なかなかその ZOZOTOWN、本店において、なかなかその新規を
And
取る
these new
ことで、それは
customers,
やっぱ迷いがありました。いろいろ
we
と、
didn't
その方向に振っていかなきゃいけないのか。
we were wondering if we should go more mass and trying to acquire new customers, but by being on PayPay Mall, we saw that they're actually bringing in a lot of new customers. And what segment do they belong to?
売れるブランドを見れば、我々大体どういうお客さんが来てくれてるか。
If we look at the brands that are selling well, we know what kind of customers are attracted. But it is as we had forecasted. So they're a little bit older and they're more men. And the pricing is around the middle range. So these are the customers that we wanted. So this is as we had expected. And so this has actually given us more confidence. And then we would like to talk about clarifying the target. We dealt with fashion lovers, and we also try to approach more people who are less fashion sensitive. But going forward, ZOZOTOWN will focus more on just fashion lovers and people who are sort of or not very fashion sensitive and interested in fashion. PayPay Mall will address their needs. So by being able to clarify the target audience in this way, this is very meaningful. Internally, we used to argue what if we should cater towards the fashion lovers or also to the mass, but now we can focus content, create content, and provide content that's going to resonate with just fashion lovers and focus on ZOZOTOWN that way. But with PayPay Mall, we can apply our know-how, for example, UI and UX, to the PayPay Mall. And by doing so, this is where we will arrive at. So ZOZOTOWN will continue to implement new things, new initiatives, and new technologies, new content, and we will try. And if it goes well in ZOZOTOWN, we can apply that to PayPay Mall. And of course, there may be some things that we try on the PayPay Mall for the first time, and if it does well, then we can actually try that on ZOZOTOWN as well. So it's going to be creating a very good ecosystem. That's it for the PayPay Mall. Other than that, with Z Holdings, we are embarking on new efforts. We don't have very much time today, so we can't go into details, but we hope to talk about this in detail sometime down in the future. And we just talked about what we're doing in Japan for now, but China is a big topic. So what are we trying to do in China? In
10日にオープンさせていた
on
だきました。
December 10th, we opened the
はい。
ZOZO China.
で、これアプリで提供し、
So it's an
提供
app,
しておりまして、実際は日本ではほぼ見れない形になっ
and
てます。皆さんもご覧
in
になってない
Japan,
のかな
you
と思いますけ
probably
れど
can't
も、
see
こちらの
this. I don't think you
UI、UX
have
ってい
seen
う
it
ものをね、
either, but UI and
ちょっとお見
UX,
せしたいと思います。
we wanted to
ここ
show
に
you
詳
what
細を
it
伺
looks
うつ
like.
もりはないん
So
で
we
すけれ
don't
ど
want to
も、
go into
何
detail
よりも
here, but
先ほ
what
ど
we
お
want to
お
say
話しして
here
たように、
is, as we explained
メディアコマース
before,
プ
we
ラ
wanted
ス
to make this a
日
media
本 from
commerce
Japan という切り口
and also make
これ
sure
が
that
どこ
people
ま
know
でい
it's
けるか
from Japan
というの
and want to
が、
test
こ
how
の
that
ウンタイトル
resonates
の
with a
目的で
Chinese
す。
audience.
で、実際じゃあどうだったかというと
And
ころ
the
なんです
results
けれ
that
ど
we've
も、私
seen,
まだちょっとまだプレオープンです。
this
ノン
is
プロモーション
hasn't
で今一旦立ち上げ
launched
て、
yet, so it's a
どれだ
soft
けの
launch,
売
and
れ
we
るの
haven't
かっていうのを
promoted
やってる最中です
this
ので、
yet, and
ま
we're
た先
just
ほど
seeing
話
how
していただいた
how
ところ
well
は
we
あるん
can
ですけれど
operate
も、今予定
this.
ではその2月以降にプロモーションをかけて、
So
ど
after
れだけのリス
February,
トが
we
あそこ
will
で見る
do promotions
と
to
いった
see
ような
what
そういうとこ
potential
ろで
this
す。
will have.
で、もう動いておりますので、ユーザー
But
的
it
に
is
はすごく
already
集まってきて
launched.
いる
It's a
状況で
soft
はありま
launch,
す。
but
で、
it's
それ
already
につい
launched.
てはご
So
紹介するんです
we've
けれども、
received user
まあ、これ
feedback
で
already,
かなり高齢者な
but
メ
we've
リットいた
received
だいている。
favorable reviews so
で、
far
特
from the
筆すべきと
users.
ころは、
They actually
結構安いと
particularly
いうの
like
がコメントと
the
して結構
the
賛同い
fact
た
that
だい
it's
て
a
います
good
ね。
deal. It's
我
not
々
as
7年
expensive
前
that they
に、
thought.
協力
7
させ
years
ていただ
ago,
い
we
て、
did
なかな
try
か
to
ね、こ
go
れすごく
into
あ
China,
の、
and
我
they
々の
found
目
that
が
the
立って、
products were
むしろ日
expensive
本の
at
方
that
がそれより
time.
も安いというのが、
But
感想と
now,
して聞かれるの
Chinese
で、これその価格ってい
consumers
うとこ
feel
ろの
as
反
though
映
the
はないという
Japanese
のがあります。
brands are
で、あと
not
は
that
一応やってま
expensive.
すけれ
So
ども、
before
先ほどの
the
ハイブリッドソ
pricing,
リューショ
high
ンとかミ
prices
ックス
were
とか
an
フリー
obstacle,
とか
but they
結構
are
日
no
本では
longer
っていう感
an
想をいただいて
obstacle,
おりますの
and they
で、
also
やはり
like
日
the
本
high
人に好
quality
かれ
of
る日本の
shipping.
ファッションというものを軸としたから、あとはそれを
So
メ
we
ディア
will
に合わせ
focus
る
on
もの。
Japan's
で、
Japanese
このメディ
quality,
アコマースと
Japanese
いうです
fashion.
ね、それ
And
は
as a
先ほど
media
お話しいただいた
commerce, if
日
it
本人
becomes
というものが
successful,
本当にそのノウハウで導入する
we
ことが
can
でき
actually
ると思いま
apply
す
the
し、
know-how
開
to
発が立
ZOZOTOWN.
ち上がれば、
And
も
if
ち
it
ろんア
launches
ア
well
ジア
in
にも
China,
横展開をするよう
we
にな
can
るという
actually
ことなの
try
で、
to
かな
replicate the
り重
success
要
in
な
other
我々と
Asian
しては
markets as well.
ステッ
So
プだと
for us, this is a
いうこと
very
ですね。
important
で、まあ、
project,
GMV どこまでいくかという報
and
告
how
は4期以降になってくるということです。
it will contribute to GMV, we won't know till the
はい、
fourth
以上
quarter
がターゲット
is
明確化ということ
closed.
で、
In any case,
ま
that's
あ、
how
今
we
度のサイ
will
クルのターゲットを明確化しな
clarify
がら、
the
進ん
target.
でいこうぜというのが一つの大きな戦略
So
になっ
that
てお
is
り
one
ま
of
す。
the key strategies that we will be implementing.
はい、続き
Going
まして
forward,
2つ目、
next,
カテゴリー強化。まあ、
the
これも
second
文字だけ見ると分かると思います
strategy
けれ
is
ども、
to enhance the
まずお話し
category.
しなくてはいけないのが、こちら
What we
で
need
す
to
ね。
talk about
この
first is
よ
ZOZOMAT.
うやく、大変お
Finally,
待たせなんですけど、ようやく、
we thank you for your
ほぼ
patience,
皆様にご体験
but
できるよう
finally,
な
it's
状況
almost
にな
ready
ってきて
for
おり
you
ます。
to experience as well.
で、今回ちょっとご紹介のムービーをご用意し
We
ま
have
す
a
ので、
video to show you
それ
today,
をまず一旦ご覧く
so
だ
please
さい。
take a look.
あなたの足を右単位で計測し、相性とに靴を勧め、
新たな靴選びが始まります。誰もがネットで靴を買える時代へ。ZOZO マット。
はい、以上ムービー見ていただけると一目瞭然だと思います。
So I think it was clear from the video, but you can measure your feet very accurately, and that's something we've already talked about from the past, but the movie explained how just accurate it is and how easy. So it may have been hard to see, but you can match the size and it will show you the compatibility and it will tell you which shoes are the most compatible. By the way, this is my foot. Based on my feet measurements, this is a size matching compatibility chart. I usually buy 26. However, if you can see here, the green is the highly compatible shoes. Yellow is not so, and red they don't recommend.
真ん中の26セン
But
チのところ、
26
革
centimeter
靴ですね。
for the
下
leather
から2番目のと
shoes
ころとかスニーカーは、
and the
26
sneakers.
で OK よという話なんですけれども、
I can buy 26 centimeters, but the short boots, for example, 27 would be the best size for me. So based on the shoe manufacturer and the design, you need to buy different sizes, and you don't notice when you buy online. So when you buy, you find that the shoes come to your house, you find that they don't fit. So we want to get rid of this obstacle by implementing this technology, by proposing the best size beforehand. In terms of compatibility, it may look simple, but there is a complex logic that goes into it. And we're not measuring just the length, but the width of your feet and the arch, the height of your arch. So we create a 3D model, 3D scan, to propose the type of shoe that fits you best. So, and we also are using AI as well, and it's extremely accurate. So this is one of the fashion tech that we're using a lot of fashion tech here. But we are an EC company, so we want to make sure that people can buy online without having to try on the shoes or clothes or whatever. But by doing so, we would like to improve the shoe sales significantly. So we don't want people to come just for clothes and buy shoes as an add-on. We want people to think of ZOZOTOWN first when they want to buy shoes online as a first stop for them. And so we can't just offer a wide range of, we want to offer technologies such as ZOZOMAT to drive sales for this category. So this is an example of the strategy that we have for specific categories. So eyewear, for example, is another category that we could apply the same thinking to. And this doesn't only mean that we are going to be adding product lineup. We want to utilize technology like ZOZOMAT and remove the psychological hurdle in purchasing certain items online. So those are the types of strategies that we would like to implement to enhance the category offering. We couldn't fix on a date yet, but towards the end of February, we will be launching this service. So please look forward to the ZOZOMAT launch. And lastly, enhancing the B2B offering. We can't really talk about this in details. There's a lot of things that still are being considered, but if I can talk about one thing here, we're trying to think of a service offering that will enable us to help the brick and mortar stores. We've been focusing on the world of EC for a while, but fashion and fashion category, a lot of brick and mortar stores aren't doing very well, but we want to help revitalize their business, energize their business. So there are a few ideas that we have in mind, and we think that in the near future we can propose something that's very innovative. So within the year, not fiscal year, but within the year. So we hope to introduce a few ideas by the end of 2020. That's it from myself. So it's going to be about more fashion and fashion tech going forward, and we will focus on these three areas: clarifying the target, and expanding the categories, enhancing the categories, and also enhancing the B2B offering. Those will be our key pillars. Thank you very much.
それでは以上をもちましてライブ配信を終了いたします。
That is going to be it for the live streaming.